I was going down the Calli Beck rabbit hole earlier, or like went to your website, and I love Stark Raving Fab. What a great name! Absolutely fantastic.
It's nicer without the dust storm.
We're a little crazy right now.
Yeah, I put it back over there.
I love it.
Yeah, I saw it as I was coming in. I was kind of going, "Oh, that's going to be a bummer."
So we'll wait a couple minutes for people to come in.
It'll jack with your frame rate
there's two
too.
events that just ended, so people are figuring out where they're going. There's this event, and then there's an ecstatic dance event. And at the last one I was at, people were like, "Wait, I don't know where to go."
Although it would be fun to spawn a dust storm in the middle of the talk.
I can hang out for a little while. I don't have anything really planned for the rest of the day, so I'm
You should do it. You should do it for sure.
Okay, perfect. This is going to be an hour, so I think we're
That'll
good.
be plenty.
There we go.
Way plenty of time. I figured I'd talk for a while just around the basics and then do like a Q&A for people.
Okay, perfect.
Well, there's this
And I
world's
have
got
some
so much
questions that
stuff
I
in it that
put together to feed you about the meaning of the piece and stuff like that. So, and I don't know if you, I don't know how deep into what happened with Tigre and stuff like that you want to get into. I will leave that up to you.
I'll just answer as best as I can with the information and the knowledge that I have, and anything that I feel like is not either too much or whatever, I'll either skirt around. But I'm generally a pretty honest front person. I'm pretty fairly pragmatic, and I'm really close with their mom, and you know, we were shopmates, so I have a feeling for what they would want to share and what they wouldn't want to share.
Okay, great.
All of the other parts too. So
I think it's an important.
I'm just like
Okay, I also think it's an important part of the story, especially the piece itself, and how it's about fear and trauma and facing that, and then what happened. It's like all part of the story.
Happy to answer any questions.
I'm hopeful that the stuff we shot and the models we made.
Hi everyone, we are going to get started in 2 minutes. We're just waiting for the few people. I can see people popping in at the spawn point, so we're going to wait about 2 minutes as everyone makes their way over here.
Yeah, let me know. It has a 100 megabyte world limit.
And then just make sure you amplify your voice when we get started. Do you know how to do that?
I'm just going to give up and make things.
I'm curious to see where
I heard it.
What platform?
Oh, we're going up here. Yeah, I'm going to.
I know, but do you know how to amplify your voice?
Yes.
Okay, perfect.
We want to make our own Unity app.
Great. Yay.
All this stuff. So we already have. I'm going to have a demo next week. You can walk around as solo user experience.
Such an
Then we'll have
interesting
user
world.
to it. So that'd be cool. In a Unity, you can make your own platform into Unity pretty much. XR interaction kit. You can just.
All of the photogrammic scans are so cool. Like such a cool concept for pulling real world into this space.
Yeah, it's gonna be a thing. But we
Yeah,
shot
the
so much footage that
photographic
it'd be nice to have
scans, the
scripting.
360 video.
Full scripting.
We have some great
Yeah.
video
Art
of Facing the
and- you know what I'm
Fearbeast.
saying?
I'm excited.
You can only do so much in the shorter period of time. Yeah, we do.
Yeah, and if you have your own app, you could
Very
go beyond
cool.
VR chat scripting.
But I think most of our footage is actually 180 3D.
Anyway, it's part of the process.
You could
we
be
have to build
Unreal.
us a template.
Well, I wouldn't have.
Could
Oh,
be
and I saw
Unreal.
your.
Just kidding.
Okay.
I
Yeah,
saw
no,
that
yeah,
computer
But I
model.
heard you
Oh,
mention
like,
Rebirth
before. I'm
before.
like very impressed. Very inspired.
On Nico's or
I'm on their mailing list.
The Shader Fest.
So that,
Let's see. I see some more people popping in.
just like a Japanese exhibition.
Hi, everyone. Welcome. Just come forward. You'll see the crowd. I see some more people popping in at the spawn point right now. We're going to get the group together. Thank you so much for joining this talk and for being here for Reburn 23. Woo! As we celebrate our time that we have here on the AltSpace platform. Somebody did the count. They told me we have 40 days. No, we got to eke out all that we can. You know, we only get 8 days of burning, man. 40 days is a lot. So everyone, I want to introduce you to Calli Beck. She has a fabrication studio called Stark Raving Fab. I love that name. She worked with Tigre, their shopmates, on Facing the Fearbeast. And I have to say, this is one of, if not my favorite piece. It's hard to say that when you're talking about Burning Man, but it really truly hit my heart in a very special way. Thank you so much for helping bring Facing the Fearbeast to life on the playa.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Make sure you're amplified.
So,
yes.
Okay, hold on. Can you hear me? Okay, cool. So yeah, Facing the Fearbeast was definitely a really wild project for our shop to take on. Tigre and I, and also our other counterpart, Lucas, sort of collectively chose to build the Fearbeast together. As Tigre was building the honorarium grant proposal for it, they sat down with us at the very beginning to make sure that it was something that we actually wanted to take on. Because a project of this scope and this size is not a one-person project. So back about this time of year last year, they sat us down in our shop and said, is this something that you guys can handle? Do you think this is something we can take on? And we said, if you want to take it on, we'll take it on with you. So yes, absolutely, let's do that. So we began doing the planning and the budgeting and the fundraising for it starting around January last year.
And what was the inspiration behind this piece?
The inspiration, Facing the Fearbeast is like if you look at or follow any of Tigre Baylando's work, it is deep dive into this very vulnerable space that they always pulled their work out of. And in this particular situation, it is looking deep inside, recognizing that we have an internal beast that we all face down, looking at the voices that we all face, and like recognizing that the way that we meet that part of ourselves and confront it alters the way that the beast appears. So they've always been a monster person. Before they were a Burning Man artist, they were a live action role playing Dungeons and Dragons studio prop build type person. So they were like their inspiration has always been in the dragons and the beasts and the monsters. And there's a part of them that got really excited about being able to build a giant monster. And so the beginning was, what does a Fearbeast look like? What does facing a Fearbeast look like? And how do we look at these particular archetypes within ourselves and meet them so that we can face them on a day-to-day basis? So that was the beginning. Where we went with all of the materials that we chose to use for the actual build started with a conversation about how, whether we wanted people to climb the structure or not. So when the answer to that was no, we started a process of choosing materials to build the beast out of. And the materials sort of informed the size and the scope and the way that the monster was going to appear.
What are those materials? Like looking at it, it looks like tires, and it was very foreboding when it is here too, when you looked at it, you didn't want to climb it. At least I didn't. Like, right. I love climbing things at Burning Man, and I looked at that and I would just like back away slowly.
Yeah, so that was very intentional. So the face and the legs of the beast are actually made out of recycled motorcycle tires. We took and cleared out all of the used and throwaway motorcycle tires from all of the motorcycle maintenance and repair places from around a 100-mile radius of our shop. to build this project. And then for install at Burning Man, we actually imported another 150 tires from the Bay Area. Asked a friend with a box truck to load them in on top of the rest of their gear. And then the structure of the beast is, if you were to strip away the tires and the scales and all of the exterior skin of it, it's actually a 1 3/4 inch, 1/8 inch tube. It looks sort of like an airplane fuselage. And then that is skinned with 20 gauge steel that is patinaed with a particular fire patina process that we developed in our shop. And that's sort of the gist of it. The entirety of the project comes apart. Oh, I'm sorry, the children. The children are both epoxy. They're large scale silicone epoxy casts. Ultimately, our desire is to take the one that is on the ground and recast it as a cold cast bronze. But for Burning Man and for the Playa installation, we didn't want to risk putting a massive bronze statue out in the middle of nowhere, and chose to do it out of a polished brown cast epoxy, both for just transportation and safety and risk issue.
Now, there was an interesting element that a lot of people missed. I know I did. And then when I heard that it was something that you could do, I came back out. But if you hugged the child, the one inside lit up. If you hugged the outside one, right? How did you get that response thing?
Yeah, so that was actually one of our favorite things to observe and watch people do while we were at Burning Man. The idea is that if the greater concept, this is another part of the concept piece, is that if you are facing down your own fear beast on your own, if a child is facing their internal fears on their own, it's a terrifying experience. So the soundtrack to the Fear Beast, when the child was left by itself, was this just like all of the things that your head says to you that is awful. You're alone, you don't belong, you shouldn't be here, nobody loves you. Like all of that was part of the abandoned child soundtrack. And then it's so interesting because like a lot of people chose to stand next to the child. A lot of people thought that touching or hugging the child or touching its heart was the way to change it, but it literally was just standing next to it. And if you just stand next to a child, it creates a change in dialogue. More people that stand next to the child, the more supported that child is, and the more supported that child is, the more they can realize that those voices that are inside their head are just them. The more that we stand next to our own inner child, the more we can realize that the fear inside of us is a wounding of our own inner child. And so that was a really big part of the development of the soundscape for this. And that was a very, very important part and a very important aspect of the development of the art piece. We kept saying over and over again during our fundraising and during before we were at Burning Man is like, you know, like this is called Facing the Fearbeast, but the beast is not the art. The art is this interaction between the people, the outer child and the inner child. And it was the most difficult thing for us to try to get people to understand because the beast is so big. The beast is 18 feet tall and 36 feet long and weighs, 9,000 pounds. And to have the actual important aspect of this be this interaction between the people and the child and the young child and the inner child was just so hard for us to get into words and to express to people as we were doing our fundraising. So getting to watch people like actually try to solve that puzzle of like how you get the children to light up, how you get the voices to change was really, really fun for us. Or at least for me. I really enjoyed watching that process.
Do you have any? Wait. Before I ask that question, what were some of the challenges around building it and building it in Santa Fe, and then bringing it to Burning Man, and then building it on Playa?
Challenges. Honestly, our biggest challenge was funding. We had so much. We had and still have so much planned for this piece. And we made so many cuts to our original design and changes to our original design, because when we came to Burning Man, we were 30% underfunded.
Wow.
And just shipping this piece is $10,000. So the most difficult part of this was like accepting that we had to change our designs, and accepting that we couldn't put the piece together completely, and accepting that we actually didn't know how we were going to get it home. We were making contingency plans all the way up until the last weekend of the event, knowing that we didn't actually have the money to put it back on a truck and bring it back to New Mexico. And that is probably the most challenging aspect of this project, was just knowing that we didn't fund well, and that we didn't know where that money was going to come from. We didn't know what we were going to do we knew that we were going to like probably find people to take the piece after the event and probably put it on loan for a gallery or put it out in public space somewhere, but we had no plans. We didn't know what we were going to do with it. I was actively making space in our yard to store it in our front yard for an undetermined period of time. And that is probably the most difficult part pre-event. As far as shipping it from our, as far as like install goes, my shop, I've cut my teeth on Burning Man. So my shop is like very well put together as far as designing and developing artwork specifically for the event. Again, this like decision on, is it climbable? Is it not climbable? How do we transport it? It has to fit on a semi-truck bed. It has to fit on a flatbed. So what are our constraints on the flatbed for transport? So like all of my own expertise in this project was the logistical side, knowing that our internal framework had to be a specific dimension, knowing that we had to be able to disassemble it in a specific way and assemble it in a specific way in such a way that it would transport on an 8-foot wide flatbed, is where my specialty lies and what a lot of my contribution was in this project. So I think hopefully that answers your question. I think the other thing too is the tech aspect. Like there are so many different options for sensors for getting tech to activate, and Burning Man's particular environment is really challenging as far as using any kind of optical sensors, using cameras or LiDAR, light or radar or LiDAR, like is really, really hard out there because there's so much noise. So that was one of the other challenges that we spent a good amount of time troubleshooting throughout the summer.
What did you end up deciding on? What did you end up using?
Oh, for the sensors? Pressure pads. It was just, there is a mat that was on the ground around the child that was literally like a step on it, and it turns and it on and off. So, and because it was on the ground and covered by a big mat, like nobody really realized that they were stepping on that.
Right. Oh, that's brilliant. I didn't know. I sat there and touched the child over and over, and I thought it was, how did they do that? That you touch the child and it lights up. I didn't even realize that it was what I was stepping on.
Yeah, nobody did. Like very, very, very few people realized that it was a pressure, literally a proximity thing. Like you stand close enough to the child and you'll activate one of the pressure pads.
Wow, that is very cool. Now, you said that you didn't know how you were going to get it home, but ultimately you did. So what was that solution?
We didn't. So the Beast right now, this is sort of a like, what does one do with their art after Burning Man kind of a thing. The Crimson Rose and Burning Man org offered for the Fearbeast to be installed in Gerlach on the art walk that they're installing at the 360 facility. So the Fearbeast right now is currently in stasis there, waiting for the snow to melt so we can go out and install it in the 360 art gallery walk.
Amazing.
Oh, that's amazing. That's actually going to be a great home for it.
Yeah, it'll be there for the next year. And then our plan is to bring it home and do a round of, we'll be doing an additional round of work on it to make it so that it will last. The time frame and timeline for shipping it out to Playa meant that we weren't able to paint all of our welds or like UV protect any of the tires or do any of the things that we would need to do for it to be an actual long-term outdoor installation. So it will, after that event, after that installation, we are essentially earmarking the lease cost of the sculpture to be used as transport cost for the sculpture to bring it back. And then we will likely, once we bring it back home, we will likely assemble it in our yard and do all of the restoration work that we need to do on it. And then we're planning around that same time frame to have a citywide retrospective of Tigre's body of work in Santa Fe.
Oh, that is going to be amazing. You said you cut your teeth on Playa art. What was that piece that you started with?
I've been going to Burning Man for 15 years. And I was part of an Esplanade theme camp for 10 of those, and then director of operations or a co-assistant site manager for Star Roadhouse. And then now I work in conjunction with DPW as a construction manager. So I just have years and years and years of experience of building work in the Black Rock Desert. My first year was 2004.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, I almost forgot. With regards to the materials, the eyes were these faces.
Yeah.
Is that something that you molded and created, or was that something that you found and used?
You know, part of Tigre's great talent is sculpting faces. If you hunt down any of their body of work, the biggest things that they drew were hands and faces. And so the eyes are a clay face that they sculpted and then cast in silicone and then did a whole collection of translucent epoxy casts for the eyes. Same with the children. So that we actually have the master sculpture for the child is also out of that same clay, and we still have that. It's still in our shop. And we will likely be recasting both of the children in a more sustainable, like a long-term epoxy cast for the restoration project. So we'll be doing like a renovated version of those casts.
And do you have any plans to have Facing the Fearbeast be permanently installed somewhere?
We're still looking for options. I don't know, maybe I'll just jump into this right now. So we have some, for those of you who are here that don't know, shortly after Burning Man, Tigre died. They were dealing with a lot of different things in their life, and they chose to end their own life in October. So our shop is currently in the process of trying to sort out what we are going to do with the greater body of their work. Facing the Fearbeast is one of the pieces of work that is still in sort of a legal limbo. We're having to sort where, like, who has control over their LLC and therefore their bank accounts and therefore the greater body of everything that they're doing or that they had done. And our hope is that ultimately somebody will want to host the Fearbeast somewhere or something along those lines. We aren't really sure yet. There's a lot of things to sort out. I have been in conversation with a couple of different bodies and organizations of people who would host the sculpture for a period of time. So we, as a public art piece, we don't have anything set in stone yet. We're still just in the very end of navigating the legal aspects of transferring ownership of all of their things over to their mom. So we will definitely be putting it somewhere. In the meantime, it'll be like BlackRock, Gerlach, BlackRock, the Project 360 project will be hosting it for the next year. And then after we bring it back to our shop, we have 1 or 2 different organizations that are interested in it, and we're still in early negotiations with them. So.
And you're still fundraising, correct, to cover the rest of the costs?
Sorry?
You're still fundraising to cover the rest of the costs.
We don't have any active fundraisers happening right now.
Okay.
We currently are, like, again, still just trying to sort out what money is around. And we haven't even received the final honorary payments because of the legal issues with not having somebody in charge of Tigre's LLC. We just have some time that we have to sort out.
Yeah, it's just all the legal complications.
Yeah.
Well, you have a large community of people that you connected with the piece, and I'm sure when the time comes, should the need still be there, we'll all be happy to help.
Thank you. Yeah, I think it's going to get sorted one way or another, and I know that the Burning Man community is heavily impacted by this project, so we'll definitely be in touch. One of the ways that people can follow what we're up to and what we're doing is following the Starkraven Fab Instagram. We post almost everything that we're up to in the shop, including working with with Tigre's legacy and memorial projects on our Instagram. So if people are interested and want to follow, that's where you go. And it's Starkraven, like the bird, Fab for Fabrication. So. Yeah.
Great. And let's see if anybody has any questions. You want to open it up?
Yeah. Yeah, I would love that.
Oh my God, there's so many questions. Okay, well, first, what I'm going to do is let me do the hand raise because it makes it easier for me to call on people. So if you have a question, just click on the little hand raise. Oh my gosh, there we go. Admiral, you have the megaphone. Go ahead and ask your question.
Hello. So with the child facing the Fearbeast, did you have any interactions with real children on the playa and get their reactions to the piece?
Oh, so many. And my favorite one of those was a little boy that ran up and spanked the child on the butt, and the thing changed. And he went, "Mom, I figured it out." Which was just like it was really special. So yeah, watching children interact with it was one of my favorites for sure. Yeah.
Thanks, Admiral. Alexandra, you have the megaphone.
Oh, there we go. Hi, I appreciate your question, Admiral. I know that was cool. So I'd like to ask a vulnerable question. Would that be all right?
Yeah, please.
So, you had the unique circumstances of investing in this as a labor of love. Like you had to believe in the concept enough to go forward without the funding, and then you had the long process of meditating on it while building it, and then of course you had the tragedy of Tigre's passing to which is, it relates to the topic of the art. How, in what ways did that affect or change or blossom your thinking on these issues, on fear and doubt and mental health and neurodivergence and all these things? Did it enlighten you in any way? Because to really like go on that journey, not many people do.
Yeah, I think that so we all have our own set of fears, right? We have our own collections of what we think is possible and not possible based on the fears of that we carry within ourselves. And for me, so much of my fear, like one of my biggest that I'm grappling with right now because of this entire experience, is based in the, I'm definitely too much. I am too much. I push people too hard. I drive people into the ground. And my ability to do these things is asking other people to come along with me on this journey is too much. I know that Tigre struggled with something very, very similar. They had a bunch of stuff in their personal life going on in conjunction with this build, to the extent where we don't really know why they chose to stop when they stopped. We don't really know. We don't know what it was that drove them to go to the extent that they did to end their life. But I do know that, like, looking at this project and looking at other massive projects that we've done in the past and looking at the actual creative process that it takes to put out something of this scale, one of my biggest takeaways in meditations has been recognizing that post massive project like this, there is something that is very akin to grief that happens when you're done with a big project. So looking at a creative process and recognizing and allowing yourself the space to grieve, to go through the rounds of anger and denial and sadness and paralyzation and like whatever your grief process looks like as part of the end of a project wrapping up. The Fearbeast was a massive, massive push for our shop, and it was a huge push for Tigre. And I think that the biggest thing in that regard in my world is that, like, we have to be gentle with ourselves. You have to allow yourself the space to just collapse and be taken care of by your community and ask for help when you need it. Many of us are just used to not having that. And like being in a place where you can be like, you know what, can you just make sure that I eat when I get into the shop every day? Like make sure that I have, if I need to cry, that I can go and cry. Like, will you just, like being able to communicate with your community, with one or two people even, and just be held the way that you need to be held in your grieving process is really important. And I think one of the biggest things we don't talk about in creative endeavors is the fact that we do that. Like the projects always have this thing where you're like, oh, this is an idea, it'll be really cool. This idea is going to be really rad. This idea sucks and I should have never even started in the first place. Okay, maybe it's okay, maybe it's fine. Oh, look, we're finishing up. Oh, it's done. And then after that, oh, it's done, like giving yourself the space to recoup the energy that you just dumped out of yourself into that creative space. Because it's like not, it's not really talked about. People talk about art being hard, but they don't really talk about the back end of doing a creative process. And that back end, like you have to recoup and take care of yourself and remember what it's like to make yourself a meal if you've been like dug down into the deep aspects of focus, Yeah.
I almost feel like we should have a.
No, that was great.
I almost feel like we should have a post-Playa artist support group.
Yep.
Yeah.
For the artists, because I have heard that before. I've heard that from other artists who have done large-scale pieces on Playa, and they come back home and it's like, now what? Or it's like they put forth all this energy, and then there's like a room that you come down to, and I feel like it's a conversation that we should be having, where we talk so
Yeah.
much about fundraising and building and creating this community, and then the event is over, and I almost feel like there should be a support structure for the
Yeah.
artists.
Well,
Yeah,
you know, my
well, so
understanding
here's
is
the
that's.
thing, right?
Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, and the thing is, we have decompression for burners. But at those decompressions, we ask the artists to come and work more.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Right.
So
Right.
like the real on that is like the people that are surrounding the artists, those folks that show up at the very last minute, and the folks that show up to unload the truck, are the most valuable people in the world. Like when you see somebody struggling, they don't need to ask for help. You can usually see it happening. If you feel like you would be tired in the place that they're at, you just like show up. And yeah, having support groups is awesome. Like having that handful of people that are close enough to you that like can see when you really are struggling is really, really important.
Okay, so Squishell, you have the megaphone.
Thank you. So this is Squishell from Vancouver. Quick reflection. I was not able to be at Black Rock City this year, and as much as I'm reluctant to connectivity while on Playa, it was quite phenomenal. By Meltdown Wednesday morning, footage of this project was coming out, and so I got to experience the immense strength of this piece remotely from Vancouver with friends who were sharing their experiences, and so I got to understand what was happening, while it was happening, and that was such a gift. I have the question. One of the things that wasn't explained was what happened when the child was activated. For me, the audio component, many people missed that as you approached it, it was all negative discussions. And then I would ask you to just explain what would happen, what kind of audio was shared once the child was activated. And one of my desires would have been to, is there a way for me to actually find that audio recording somewhere at some point in time that I would be able to experience it viscerally in that way. And thank you for all of your amazing energy that you put into this, because it was absolutely breathtaking, and for me to experience it with people while they were on Playa was I can't even explain the gift that was. So thank you.
Absolutely. We are making some aspects of the activity of it available through the website for the Fearbeast project.
Great.
It's going to take us some time to sort all of that out. Our team at the end of it was pretty large. And I am still collecting, like just trying to get all of our files into one place. So once we have everything in one place, and once we have all of our fundraising perks distributed to the folks who funded the original GoFundMe campaign, we renovating the Fearbeast website so that we have some amount of the interactivity and some amount of the audio available there. If anybody has active video of the project and wants to share it with me, I would love to see it. We have a lot of photos, but I haven't seen a lot of video of the experience. The experience once you approach, so when you approach the child and stand with the child, the abandoned child audio changes. So the abandoned child audio is all very negative. And when you approach the child and stand with them, it changes to one of acceptance and love. You are worthy, you are loved, you should be here, we need you here, is what the audio says in the changed audio.
Wonderful.
I know that we would like to be able to recreate that here. There was no way to actually do the triggering. It would have been a spatial audio thing that we would have been able to play with, but hopefully in the next iteration we'll be able to also work with you to try to bring that to life in the digital space as well.
Yeah, I would love that.
And we have another question. Jared, you have the megaphone.
Thank you. So I'm curious your thoughts as an artist here. I really appreciated the dialogue we were having about the support group for artists who have, poured their heart and soul into a piece like this. I haven't been to Burning Man yet. This 23 should be my first year. From what I understand, of course, it's a big life-changing moment. And, I could see very much lots of people resonating personally with a piece like this. And so my question to you is do you think there's something that artists can or maybe should do to help foster a community or help people that resonate with a piece beyond Burning Man? Because Burning Man is immediate, right? And it's because it's immediate, it's momentous and life-changing. But then when you leave, how do you stay connected with people that have had a similar life experience with you, I guess? Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I'm hoping you cut out a little bit, so I'm going to do everything that I can to answer what you said as best I can. Let me know if I've missed anything. I think the biggest thing that burners themselves can do is connect with other burners. Every community that I have lived in has a subset of burners in that community. I have very, very rarely been to a place where nobody knew what Burning Man was. And as an artist, connecting with those people and helping to organize community events, regardless of whether they're burners or not, is a really great way to find that kind of support. I've been at Burning Man since 2003. I lived in the Bay Area for 10 of those years. And then I've traveled around the country and lived in different parts of the country ever since. And it's as easy as, meeting people out and then creating opportunities within your own community for craft nights or dance parties or fire spinning jams or whatever. Allows whatever your vibe of Burning Man is, because it's a city. We all have different vibes going on out there. For a long time, my only vibe was going to the dance parties, and that was it. Now my vibe is I build the place and then try to disappear into the background until everybody goes home. So finding the biggest thing, number one, find people in your community. Number two, your community is everywhere. Because of our digital age, we have the ability to connect with people all over the place. And if you are able to reach out to other artists, a lot of times, I have friends now that that live and work in Reno and work at the makerspace that's there. So if I'm in Reno, I'll drop in and check in with them. And when I have questions with their particular expertise, I reach out. So one of the biggest things is remembering that despite where you live and whether or not there are people in your immediate vicinity that understand what you're going through, you have what would it look like if we had a Burning Man that had no tickets? How many people would show up? It's not just the 70,000 that show up every year. The number of people that have been to this event or reached into this event from across the world over the course of years that it's been going is huge. So those people exist. They kind of stand out. Most of them are kind of weird looking in one way or another. And finding those people and bringing them into your own community is really great. With the Fearbeast project, one of the other really remarkable things about this project is we brought 70% of our crew had never been to Burning Man before. And they showed up at our shop and worked with us throughout the entire project and then came with us to Burning Man. They are now Burning Man people. Some of them are it's not for me, but I understand why you're doing it. And they still hang out, And the people that want to do cool stuff exist in every community. You just have to find them. As far as creating support for the artists within your community, just keep showing up. I hope that I got some of your question wrapped up into that mini tirade.
Yeah, I think the answer about community is wonderful. I think I was talking specifically about the piece. One of the things I've realized recently is how many people struggle with imposter syndrome and feeling they don't belong, which can be related to this piece. So I guess I was thinking more topically about the art piece itself, but I think your general guidance about finding good community helps no matter what the core fear or issue is.
Yeah, totally. Well, that's the other part with that, in direct response to that particular aspect, is all of us suffer from that. Even the people that have the biggest mouths, even the people that sound the most confident, have some amount of fear that they are wrong, and or that they don't matter, or that they're not important. Like, we all struggle with that. So it's another part of our internal dialogue that tells us that we're alone. Like, nobody is really truthfully alone. Everybody has a very human experience, and the choice to separate ourselves from the people around us is what makes us feel isolated. There are people that are all around you that care about you, and there are people that are all around you that, I mean, everybody that I work with is like, wow, you're so cool and you know so much. And like, in my head, like, I know absolutely nothing. I'm lying this entire time. Like, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just a burner that like has done this a bunch and has learned about things, and I don't ultimately know anything, you know? So like, it's not saying that like the conversation in your head isn't important, but like realizing that you aren't the only one having it is. Yeah.
That's a good answer. Amen. And somebody just messaged me, and I want to make sure you all know you can follow Calli Beck on her Instagram at Stark Raven Fab.
Raven Fab is our shop, and you can follow us on Instagram. If you have any other questions, feel free to reach out to me there. I'll probably stick around and wander around in this general area if anyone wants to have brief conversations for a little while after this.
Did anybody have any other questions they wanted to ask? We have about 10 minutes left, or we can just open it up to wandering around, looking at the piece and the other pieces in the space, and having conversations with Calli. Okay, great. Thank you, everyone, for coming. Thank you, Calli, so much for being here and
thank you so much.
sharing. Sharing the piece with us, and thank you for all of your hard work and the hard work of the entire team in Santa Fe. Please relay to them how much we appreciate Facing the Fearbeast and what you have brought to everyone on Playa, and then someday out into the world.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much.
Our little emoji claps. So you can take yourself off of Amplify if you don't want to.
Okay, got it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Hi, Peter.
Hi.
How's it going?
And by the way, for those
It is going well. How are you doing?
Amplify. For those that
Good.
don't
It was
know,
nice to see you.
there is a bubble in this world. One of those 360 bubbles is in this world. Maybe over in that bar over there, but there is a hidden bubble in this world if you want to find one of the 360s.
Sculptures around the country that I do maintenance on. So I'm currently actually in West Palm Beach, Florida.
I'm wondering how I can learn about life after all space.
Oh, that's a really good question. Join our Discord, BRCvr. It's a public Discord, and or get on our email list. If you're not on Discord, email works. It's brcvr.org, and you can get on our email list, and we'll let you know where we're producing things and where we're going and what we're doing. All of that comes straight off of our email list, and your email information is safe with us.
Thank you. I saw a post that you made in comparison
considering what's going on, like the MoMA burning down all the great art pieces, and it's so appropriate for what's happening right now, and this has to live on. It really has to.
I know.
I know. Probably not. I can only handle like a certain amount of time in the headset. I'll probably put it on Zoom while I'm doing other things. I can listen in on it, but not be in vivo. Back night for the temple burn, probably. A little roll around with some friends.
The Fearbeast is kind of represented.
Yeah. Good. Okay. Well, enjoy the rest of your day. Good to see you.